Hey everybody, Dr. Paula Ruffin. I'm here with my good friend, Ms. Kim Yezbick. How are you, Kim?
Good, how are you?
Awesome, thanks for being here. Kim is a local realtor, but she's even more than that. She's an incredible rock star mom entrepreneur. And I brought her here today because I wanted to find out her story. She's done some really incredible things. She's an amazing realtor in the way she takes care of her clients, but also just the way she manages momming and being an entrepreneur, and how she has just the ability to manage those two things, make it look really good. I'm sure it's probably a little stressful at times, but
yeah, chaos.
But she does a great job. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So as Dr. Ruffin mentioned, my name's Kim Yezbick. I'm a realtor with Real Estate One. I've been doing this about 9 years, which is hard to believe, time flies. I just passed my broker test.
Yay!
So I will, go through the licensing to become an associate broker, still with Real Estate One, but it should open up some doors, and just knowledge is power. It's been on my list of things that I wanted to accomplish for a long time. So
I want to stop you there for a sec, because becoming a broker, I wasn't sure, I didn't know what that meant to become a broker. So tell people, like, what's the difference between being a realtor versus a broker versus like those different layers? Yeah,
so you start as a real estate salesperson. Once you are doing that full time for 3 years, you can take your broker test and become a broker once you pass that. What that basically means is, if you still are working through a larger broker, you are an associate broker, you can also eventually, if this is the way you want things to go, open up your own brokerage and have agents underneath you. But basically for me at this point, it just means I can get paid through the broker business to business. I can open up a business entity. In real estate, you cannot do that without the broker license. So instead of getting paid as a self-employed contractor, I can get paid through my business that I open separately, which just is beneficial.
You're now Kim Yezbick Real Estate.
However right? I want to open it, exactly. Just so, and it's 90 hours of education and then the test. So it's a title as well. So there's some good things with that. But
gives you some options at
this point.
Where do you go from here now that you're just going to kind of hang on to it until you...
Yeah, that's my plan for now. I have some things that I'm thinking of for the future, but I love working with clients and both home buyers and sellers. It fits into my lifestyle with my kids, and I do adore it. So I'm going to continue doing what I do, doing what I love, and just see where it takes me in the future. So
that brings me to, so you mentioned your kids.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about when you got into real estate. Yeah. Did you have kids when you got into real estate?
So my oldest was 1.
Okay.
When I started real estate. So the journey is, I have a degree in criminal justice, which I'm using so very effectively. And we were moving back from out of state, and my mom's a realtor. She's been doing this for, 25, 30 years.
She's been doing it a long time.
Yeah, and she said, just come get licensed and you can look for a job, do whatever, say that, well, I'll get licensed and I can kind of help out and see, but real estate isn't what I'm thinking I'll do. And I just fell in love with it right away. I love the flexibility. I love meeting new people and meeting new business owners and getting involved in the community. And it stuck. So it enabled me to contribute to the family and do something that I love so much, but also being able to put so much effort and time into my kids. So
that's one of the hardest things when people like yourself or me, entrepreneurs, mompreneurs, is finding that healthy balance.
Yeah.
And I always say
the elusive balance.
Yeah, the elusive balance. Yeah. So I just did a video for someone for new chiropractors, female chiropractors. And I said, work-life balance doesn't exist.
It does not.
So stop thinking that it exists.
Yeah.
And that it's a work-life ebb and flow.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and once we recognize that, then it's almost liberating to say
it is.
There's no 50-50 balance.
Right.
So when you got into that, how long did it take you to establish, okay, this is my business, this is my family? Because I think also we feel like we need to be all things to all people.
Yes.
And we go to our business, we feel guilty we're not with the family. Then we're with the family, we feel guilty we're not in the business.
Yeah.
So did you experience some of those things, and how did you navigate your way through that?
Yeah, I did experience that a lot. It took a few years for me to fully feel like I developed into a business model that worked for me. and that I was proud of and that was sustainable. So it took me a little bit of time to start getting repeat clients, and where my business is now, where it's 95% referral, which just feels so fantastic. So
that means they love you.
Well,
you're doing something right.
It's a great way to do business. It's just makes it so much easier, and it's just what I love. So in that process, we'll get into it later, but I started this networking group, and my whole plan was when I'm slow, I'll do the broker test, which is why I literally bought the stuff that I did the self-study 5 years before I actually got my broker license, because then I didn't slow down.
Yeah.
But in that, it took me a while to learn the ebb and flow, that there'll be more seasons where I spend more time with my kids and more seasons where I spend more time in the business, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. And when I'm in the thick of a season that's opposite, I know that there'll be a flow back the other direction.
It's such a great learning lesson there.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think about too is that if we feel guilty because we're at work and not with our kids, we also have to remember that being at work, doing our job or our career, is serving our family.
Yes.
That we are serving our family. So just because you're not physically there with your kids and your family doesn't mean you are not doing right by them. Doesn't mean you're still investing into them. Yeah. And that also for me was a mindset, was like, I'm going to come to the office, be the best mom I know, be the best doctor I know I can be, and then go home and be the best mom I know I can be. And I had delusions that I could do it all, right? Basically have my daughter on the boob and, be sitting here adjusting clients, and it was going to be amazing, but
then life happens.
And then life happens, and then you wake up to reality.
Yeah.
So how do you schedule your time? What are some ways that you can help people understand how to schedule time better when you have kids, and how to think about those time schedules so that you don't have guilt?
Well, this might be a little bit of an unconventional, even an unpopular thought. I don't run my business as a 9-to-5, and there may come a time in my life or a season where I will, maybe when my kids are all in school full time, or who knows. But I block in my kids' schedules where I need to be. That's a non-negotiable. I do drop off and pick up. That's really important to me. And with that, I'm willing to work some later appointments or to send an email late at night or really early in the morning, because it works in my schedule. It works for me. And I would rather create a balance, that elusive balance. I'd rather create a schedule that fits in our family than say, I'm going to have a hard cutoff at 5 p.m. and that's it. Because that isn't my life or my current situation. So I set in my non-negotiables, I build everything else around it, and then there are times that I have to be flexible, and that's okay too.
You bring up a great point, because another thing that I talked about when I did that video for the new chiropractors is we get information from so many different places.
Yes.
And the way you said that was like, I don't run it as a 9-to-5, it's an unconventional thought. To me, that is like, that's that thing that people tell you should be doing something or you shouldn't be doing. And then we're like, oh, something must be wrong, or I'm going to fail if I don't do exactly how this person says. And the reality is we all have a different reality. Yeah. So we have to take this information and then make it what works. Yeah. And the fact that, and I know people who are in the service industry that they will say, oh, I have a hard cutoff at 5. And I'm thinking to myself, you're in a business that goes 24/7. So I understand you want to say you have a hard cutoff at 5. Yeah. However, they're also, it's like there might be a day you have a hard cutoff at 5.
Yes.
But what happens when your website crashes or your IT goes, if my IT guy said I have a hard cutoff at 5,
for sure.
I'm hosed. So there's definitely the making sure that you're managing your own reality.
Yeah. Yes. And I think part of it is in building a life by design, it gets to be your design. And that's not going to be the same, even for the 5 people sitting in a room. It could be different for every single person, and that's okay.
I think that's going to be the title of this podcast: is "Building a Life by Design" by Kim Yezbick.
I like that.
Yeah. So one of the reasons I met Kim was I was seeing her around on the local social sites, and she developed this networking group called Driven Network Alliance. And first of all, I just loved what she was saying. You know, I'll see people on social media, and I feel very energetically attracted to them. And she was one of them. And I think we reached out, I think it was like during COVID.
Yeah, I think so.
And then then I think I got invited to come to one of the meetings.
Yeah, you did an educational piece, and everybody was blown away because anybody that knows you are an amazing speaker.
Thank you.
And Nick, so
thank you. I appreciate
one of our first introductions.
Yeah, no, it was great. And she's collected an incredible group of people, but I want you to tell people, because Driven Network Alliance is not like any other networking group I've ever been in. It's very collaborative. It's very supportive in a much different way than like a BNI. We've all been in BNI. I don't. That's all I'll say about that. Y'all know where else. Yeah. So tell us how that started and what the evolution of it.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, I was looking to join a networking group, and I looked into BNI, and inevitably all the real estate spots are always taken. So I reached out to like the BNI headquarters, and they said, well, there's no real estate spots anywhere like a tri-county area, but you can create your own. And I thought, you know what, if I'm gonna recruit and if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it my way. So I reached out and I started developing an idea where I could build things in at a low cost, minimal commitment comparatively, and just more intentional. So I wanted to be able to volunteer. I wanted to be able to respect people's time, have a collaborative group that was cost effective and local, and do it my way. So I created a mission statement and a vision, and I put the work in, and I'll never forget this, but our first meeting was the Tuesday, or I think it was the Tuesday after Super Bowl, and a huge snowstorm 5 years ago.
Oh,
and one person came. And I thought, oh my goodness, what have I done? I put so much work and effort into this.
Is that Troy?
It wasn't. It was
okay.
just before Troy.
Okay.
And so I put it out on a local South Lyon page on Facebook. And I said, well, I'm just going to give it another go. Hopefully this will have a better turnout. If not, this was all for nothing. Well, the next meeting, I think there was about 30 people that came.
Wow.
It was unbelievable.
Oh my gosh.
It was so cool. It was such a great feeling.
You're like, okay, that was the universe saying, don't stop.
Oh, I have a humble beginning story, which is always important.
Yeah, for sure.
And so from there were a few people that stuck. You know, some people, they think it's a great idea and then they don't want to commit, or for whatever reason, timing doesn't work out. We formed a group, and we've been here since. So there's been some new members coming and going, but it's always been collaborative. My goal is to always make it the best it can be. So I want feedback and input, and I want to make it better. And if something's not working, I want to fix it. And there's been so many amazing minds and business owners that have contributed ideas and tweaked things to make it what it is now. And I'm so grateful, because I could not have done it on my own.
It's amazing. One of the things, and I'm sure I've told you this, but my favorite thing about the group, and if we just go to the traditional BNI, we're throwing BNI under the bus, but you said you wanted to be unique and different, and you've definitely done that. And one of the things with BNI and traditional networking is you must pass a lead every week, and that's, for example, we have a home builder in the group. How many people am I going to know in a year who are building a house?
Sure.
So that's just not realistic.
Right.
So what can we do to help support each other and collaborate, as you said, which that's what I think is the difference, because frankly in BNI, if you don't pass enough leads, they kick you out of the group.
Well, then it becomes cold leads, or it becomes
not
anything that is really developable, but it's a check.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have 5 warm leads a year than a week that are cold ones a week. So, and
to build the relationships.
Yes.
Because if you come into a BNI group and you immediately know you have to pass a lead, you're like, there's a realtor, here's a cold lead, or a coming lead. But you haven't built a relationship. How do I know you're not a complete jerk, right? I don't know that.
Right, and a bad referral can really affect your business.
For sure.
Right?
Or if I have a good positive lead, but I'm going to pass that just to a complete stranger.
Right.
So what Kim's created is a group of people who have built some pretty good relationships.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful. One of my favorite things about each meeting is we actually have an educational piece, which I've never been in my 25 years in business, never had this happen in a group where one person is in charge for 10 minutes or so, and they bring an educational piece about business, about clients, about personal growth. I mean, it's basically whatever you want if it's your educational piece day. And I love the fact that we can sit in this group with 10 to 15 of us, maybe some days more, and we can have this roundtable discussion.
Yeah.
And those are, and again, it might only be 10 to 15 minutes, but it's so powerful.
It is.
When you're getting all those minds together.
Yeah.
And we still do one-on-ones and have lunches and things, but how often are you going to be able to bring that many minds together in one place to have a great conversation about different business?
Well, one of my favorite things about the group is that, and I always go back to this a couple times a year, is that there's so many different ways to contribute. But as long as you're getting something and giving something out of the group. Some people are amazing at the educational piece. Some people are great at regular referrals. Some people are rock stars on social media referrals. Some people are good at the one-on-ones. But it's good that as long as you can contribute in some way, there's benefit. And that's all I care about. If somebody's sitting there and they aren't contributing and they're not getting anything out of the group, it's not for them. But there's so many different ways to make that happen.
And we have one person in the group, Julie, who's actually no longer in the group, but we keep her in the Facebook page because she's the social media watchdog.
It's the best.
And she goes out and she sees, she's in all the groups, and she sees when people are looking for a realtor or a chiropractor. And so we can all go out and then share that love and support for, and these are not disingenuous, or disingenuous, I don't know what the word is, but you guys get me. But yeah, it's because we know each other. I've been in the group now, it's a couple, 3 years, maybe,
I think 3
something
years.
like that.
Yeah.
And so if I didn't believe in each and every person in this group, I wouldn't refer them. And so
and seeing it in action that way, where one person, there's a request for somebody local that fits one of the descriptions in the group, and there are 20 genuine comments for that person. It's so amazing to be on the sidelines, or actually really in it, and watch that happen. And then at the group, somebody says, we do a recap of wins for the couple weeks, and people have said, I got that lead, or I set an appointment, or I followed through, or I got 2 more calls because of all the recommendations. It's magical. I mean, it's such a cool thing to see in action.
Yeah. So you looking back on the last 5 years with DNA, is there anything you would have done different, or are you like super happy with how it's rolled out? Where does your heart sit with where things are at today and what you've created?
I love this group so much, and it started as a kind of a pillar of business for me. Hey, this is one of the ways I want to try to get business, is getting involved locally. And it's turned into so much more. It's turned into one of the favorite things I do, my passion, and it goes with real estate, but I love the group. And really the biggest thing is I wish that I wouldn't have been so stressed out on the meeting weeks when maybe there was 6 people. Because the next week there might be 20, and sometimes life happens. And just to take those moments and let them be even more important of a meeting, where it can be just a small round table, and not overthink it or stress out about it, and just know that life happens, and not be so worried about it, because it's just turned into such a great, amazing group, regardless of the season, regardless if there's a 6-person meeting or a 20-person meeting.
It's so interesting too, on the days that there's a 6-person meeting. Why does that happen? I don't understand why that happens.
It's funny the way it works.
I know.
It seems like everything falls at one time.
Everybody's out of town, or they have other commitments.
And it doesn't happen very often. Troy used to say at one point, I said, every once in a while I just get in my head and I worry, and I get so so nervous if there's a smaller meeting, and he says, I know, every time you call me. And I just laughed, and I said, well, it shows the importance of having the community and having the reassurance in the group and the support. But I looking back, that's something that I wish I wouldn't have put so much pressure on.
Well, now you've just made yourself accountable by announcing that to everybody.
There you go.
So all right. So if I'm ever at a meeting where there's 6 people, I'm just going to go,
yeah, it's okay.
It's totally fine. It's totally fine.
We just revamp and make it be more of a mastermind.
Yeah,
it's just
which is amazing. Because again, you just go, man, there's everybody in this group is just brilliant in their own special way.
Yeah, it's great. And it's just that revamping. And that goes back to that flexibility of sometimes you just have to meet things where they're at and just go with it.
Do you think that you could have created this group in another community, or do you think, like, how special is this particular area, this particular community?
The Lyon Township area, there's something so special here. When I first moved to this area, I didn't come from very far, 10, 15 minutes away.
Where are you from?
Well, we were in Walled Lake just prior,
okay.
which is a great area, but there was just something about here. It felt like home. I mean, there's so much community, there's so much support amongst businesses, and there's so much collaboration that happens. And I had not been part of a community that felt that way. And I do think that the people here, the business owners here, not to say it couldn't be created elsewhere, but there's something special here.
My first practice when I moved back from California was in Waterford.
Okay, yeah.
And I felt like I was in a sea of people.
Yeah.
I felt zero connection. I joined every group under the sun to try to create community connection.
Yeah.
And I just never felt like a part of even though I was in these groups, the Optimist Club and Rotary and all that. And then when the opportunity came to come here to New Hudson and I bought my practice, and in my head, I always thought I wanted to be small town, big city.
Yeah.
And this very much felt like that.
Yeah, agreed.
And when I moved here, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm home.
This is it.
Yeah, this
exactly.
is really it. And you walk into a store and people are like, oh, you're the new chiropractor in town. Word travels, which could be a good thing and a bad thing. So behave yourselves. Right?
It's a good warning.
I know, exactly. Yeah. But I love what you've created. I love connecting with you as a mom. What is, if there's one piece of advice that you can give moms and entrepreneurs, people trying to juggle, what did you call it? The elusive balance. The elusive balance. What would be one good key piece of advice that you could offer people?
I would say build in your vision, set your non-negotiables for your family, and build your life around that. It doesn't always look perfect. I mean, there's going to be times where it's a struggle, and it's going to be times where you feel a little bit lost. But if you keep your center, it'll take you home every time.
So Driven Network Alliance, if you notice, the acronym is DNA, and Kim has asked me to read the mission statement, so I'm going to read this to you. Our mission is to change the composition, the DNA, of each individual's business and business owner by creating a network of referring partners who actively seek to grow each other's businesses through referrals, advocacy, and best practice sharing and education. Our vision is to develop quality relationships with each other and with our business connections that advance those relationships and enhance each other's business success, not necessarily by the number of referrals or their type, but by their quality. That's what I love. And our intention is to ease the requirements for participating in a business referral group to improve the possibilities for everyone's success. We will enhance each other's businesses through connection, collaboration, communication, and commitment. So that being said, where can people find DNA and where can they find you?
So they can find me at yezbickrealestate.com, or my Facebook social media handles are yezbickre. And then for the Driven Network Alliance, I have the vision and mission statement. I would love to share those. You can send me an email, which I'll go ahead and link to as well.
We'll put that in the show notes for sure.
Sounds great.
Wonderful. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Please make sure you connect with Kim. She's just an amazing human in our community, and she knows a lot of people too. So if you're just looking to meet somebody, get in touch with her. And I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.